Hi guys, so in this video I'm going to talk about this trade right here, these two trades. And basically it was a win and a loss on NQ from yesterday night on 11th of March. And this video is basically going to be about when it's actually okay to re-enter, because for this one I had a loss initially and then I re-entered after more confirmations. And sometimes it's not valid to re-enter and sometimes it's bad to re-enter, but sometimes it's okay to re-enter. And so that's why I don't really have strict rules around re-entering. Like I don't really have a rule that says I can't re-enter. As long as I have proper confirmations, I actually find that it's okay to re-enter sometimes. Obviously it's very important for you to know when you should re-enter and when you shouldn't, and I know exactly what I'm looking for if I want to re-enter. So that's basically like the rules that I have around it, I guess. It's not a strict like yes I can or yes I can't, but it's just depending on scenario to scenario and what I've been shown. Sometimes I can re-enter and sometimes I can't. This is yesterday's candle right there on Tuesday. You can see we're pretty much still bearish. I don't really look too much here, even though we do have this fair value gap and we did kind of respect it, but it's yesterday's candles, the day before yesterday's candle on Monday, the candle still closed pretty bearish. So on Tuesday yesterday I still expected it to be bearish because Monday was still bearish. There was no reversal signs yet. Going down to the 4 hour, you can see there's actually a 4 hour fair value gap right there. So yesterday this trade was around there at the 10 a.m. candle, so you can see that we were respecting the 4 hour fair value gap, and there's also no signs of going up yet. Now on the 1 hour it was a little bit confusing for me, because on one hand you do see that there is this bullish fair value gap that we went in and went up, that were respected on the 9 a.m. candle. We went here and went up, but then what we also see is there's this candle right here that closed below these two up candles. So that is that change in the state of delivery right there. So we have this bearish change in the state of delivery with this candle closed, this 8 a.m. candle, and we also have this bullish fair value gap right here getting closed below by this 8 a.m. candle. So in 9 a.m. I just wanted to wait for price to close and respect this inverse fair value gap, and that was my 1 hour confirmation, because we have our 4 hour fair value gap and we also have our 1 hour. So then pretty much all I need is just to go down to a 3 minute and to see an entry model. We see that we also have an SMT right here. I just waited for a 3 minute fair value gap, which we got right here. You can see this. At 9:30 we went down, swept some liquidity, and then we went up, took out this high, and then we started heading down. And we have this first fair value gap right here, and I entered actually at that 10 a.m. candle open because I wanted to wait for that 9 a.m. candle to close, and I wanted it to show that it wants to respect this H1 inverse fair value gap first before entering. So that's why I didn't enter on this candle right here, because it was so close to the 10 a.m. candle anyways. I might as well wait for the 1 hour candle to close. And if this candle was to go straight down and to not leave me with a good risk to reward, then I wouldn't have entered. But because it was still an okay risk to reward, so I entered right there in that fair value gap, and I pretty much got taken out immediately because I had my stop loss at this high. And what happened was price went up, took that high, and then the SMT was still holding, and then we went down. So if I remove this is my first trade. If I remove that, just to make things clearer, you see that price went down, closed below these downward candles. So we have a 3 minute change in the state of delivery, and then we have this right here getting inversed. So we have a 3 minute inverse. This was that H1 fair value gap, so I'll remove that for now. And then we also have a 3 minute fair value gap, which I used for my second entry right here. So I entered there with that fair value gap because we already got 3 confirmations. We have an inverse, we have a fair value gap, and we also have a change in the state of delivery. So when this candle went back up, I just entered right there, and I had stops just around there, and then just a target of 1 to 2. And the reason why I allowed for this to happen was just because we actually have a proper entry model setting up. And even after all this, the SMT was still holding, the H4 was still respected, and there's an even better setup actually that we can see here, is that when we took out that high, that when I got stopped out, this is that 10 a.m. 4 hour candle. When we took out that high, we actually ended up taking out the 6 a.m. candle high, meaning we actually ended up forming an SMT with ES right there. So it was an additional SMT on the H4, so that's additional confirmation. So that's why it gave me proper reason to actually enter, because now the SMT is even more powerful because it's a H4 SMT, right, with the 10 a.m. candle. Before that, when it was an SMT with this was still at 9 a.m. So this was still within that 6 a.m. H4 candle. With that being taken out, the SMT still holds. It's an even better SMT. We got an even better entry model, and that is why I actually ended up re-entering the trade. This is when it's important to realize, you're re-entering because there's actual confirmations there, and because your strategy is at play. Your plan is working, and I'm re-entering according to my plan, not just because this candle closed bearish or something, because I just know past me would have seen this take out my stop loss, and you might get emotional seeing that it closed all the way down there and see that it's going in your favor and enter right there because you want to make money, because you think price is going down, because you think after taking you out it's likely that price is going down, which in this case you would be right and you would make money. But a lot of the times, if you don't wait for this fair value gap to get created, sometimes it can just reverse. Especially this candle right here, as it closed here, is still in that bullish fair value gap. You never know whether this bullish fair value gap will be respected or not. So that's why I waited for a proper fair value gap formation, and I waited for this to get closed below, and I waited for proper entry signals. And I think this is something that I wanted to note down, because I was pretty happy with the fact that I re-entered with no hesitation, because it was a proper setup being formed. I think a lot of the times it's important that you don't get too phased by losses like that. When I lost, you can, for example, yesterday I think TJR also entered the trade. He entered it and then he got stopped out, and he re-entered it pretty much I think around the same area, and then he moved his stop loss to break even. And it depends on person to person, but for me, I think I don't like doing that, because it just means that I'm moving stop loss to break even because I don't want to lose more money. And if it is because he doesn't want to lose any more money because of risk management, then that's fine. But if it's because of emotions, then it's probably better to not do that, because then you end up changing your trades based off of your emotions instead of changing your trades and having your take profits and stop losses based on actual plan and strategy. That's why I like to look at each trade as they are. I look at them individually. I don't like to look at this trade and be influenced by the previous trade. But I guess if they're on the same day, it's a bit different, because maybe he wants to minimize the amount of losses that he takes in a day or something. So yeah, I'm not saying what he did was wrong or what he did was right. I'm just saying, for me personally, I found that if I take trades based off of what happened in the previous trades, it just affects me emotionally, and it just makes me make the wrong decisions. It's important to, when you take a loss or when you take a win, it doesn't matter, look for the market from the lens of your strategy. Don't look from the lens of emotions or from the lens of I want to win or I want to make my money back. Just look at it as, is my strategy there and is it present? If this candle closed below and you enter right here from this candle, like what I would have done ages ago, right? This is a very common mistake that I used to do all the time, is when I get stopped out, I would be very emotional, I'll be really annoyed, and then I'll start looking for another way to get into the trade because I don't want to miss out on the move, right? Because if my bias is right, then I want to make money. You have to understand that making money is not really correlated to your bias being right. Making money is only correlated with you following your plan. So no matter what price shows, you only enter when you see your exact plan, your exact entry model, or whatever it is that you want to see according to your strategy, not according to what you think the market is going to do. Because a lot of the times what you think the market is going to do, your thoughts are more based around what makes you feel better. So when you see something like this, you are more inclined to think that the market is going down, because if you think that way, then that thought of the market going in your favor is the thought of you making money. So of course you would want to think that way. Of course your brain would want to give you these thoughts that encourage you to trade, because it encourages you to have the possibility of making money. That's not how you enter trades, because that's pretty much just a gambling mindset. If you're just entering trades because of a possibility of price going in your favor, then you're just gambling. And this is something that I've kind of come to terms with over like the past few months. Something that I've kind of drilled in my head is that every single time I enter a trade, it has to be off of the market. It has to be off of what I see. It has to be off of the current information that I'm seeing, and it has to be exactly according to my strategy. It cannot be because of any losses that I've taken or any wins that I've taken or anything that I think, or anything where like I think the market might do this because I see a liquidity sweep, or because I think this and I think that. And I think especially ICT traders as well might be more susceptible to this, because we think we know so much because of all the different concepts and stuff that we know. But just make sure you have a fixed strategy and only follow that strategy. And I know I'm going a little bit around here, but it's because that's pretty much it for this that I want to show you guys. There's not much today. The trade was pretty simple. It was just a straight up like continuation trade, going off of a H4 fair value gap, seeing the H1 aligning. So it's a pretty straightforward trade, you can see, but it's just you have to be in the right headspace. And I think yesterday was just one of those days where I was in the right headspace. So I want to make this video reminding myself of that, because going forward I would like to have this kind of mindset as well. I hope it wasn't too confusing, but yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.